parts of Beowulf can also be connected to his journey. For example, he starts off in the ordinary world, in his home, the country of the Geats, and is called to the adventure when he hears about Grendel and the problem he is creating in the country of the Danes. He's meeting a mentor when he meets King Hrothgar, who helps him on his journey, and he's crossing the threshold for a special world when he sails over the Great Sea. He encounters many tests and enemies on his journey, for example Grendel, and he believes that the battle is over when he kills Grendel, but then he finds out about Grendel's mother. His final test is when he kills Grendel's mother, and he's rewarded by King Hrothgar for helping his country. The road back is when he returns home and rules for 50 years as the king of the Geats, but later he has to kill the dragon. He manages to kill the dragon and returns as a hero, but he dies with poison from the dragon and dies a hero's death. Beowulf is also very similar to a book called The Hobbit, as many of the characters and as well as the plot is very similar. When Beowulf sets out on his journey to kill the dragon with his 11 companions, it's very similar to the story of The Hobbit, when Bilbo sets out with the 11 dwarfs to kill the dragon. Also, swords and their meaning is very common in both of those two texts, as they are a sign of bravery and are a lot of importance. We encountered many difficulties doing this, since there aren't that much material left from this period. Most of it has been lost during or destroyed during history. Also, most texts weren't written down and were just told from person to person, since most people couldn't write at the time. Some of the literary techniques were also lost from translation. When you translated the Old English into New English, alliteration and rhyme and things like that didn't work. Also, most literature weren't written down, since it didn't spread from the close communities that existed at the time. Also, it was very costly and time-consuming to write things down, and so most people didn't do it.
Summary. The medieval period is the period between 500 AD to 1300. The medieval period is the time between the fall of the Roman Empire to the beginning of the Renaissance. England were converting to Christianity, which was clearly presented in the poems from the medieval period. The Catholic Church became very powerful, and kings and queens and other powerful leaders all derived powers from their alliance with the Church, and therefore the medieval period's literature had a lot of religious referring. The men had a superior position in the society, while the women were barely a part of the society.
Created using Powtoon.